This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
Monster day in the league. I mean, it's been insane. I'm sure 10 things will happen in these next 2 hours while we're on the air. Maybe the Steelers will land a quarterback. Who knows? They made a monster trade last night. Doing some other things, too. Roster moves here everywhere. I mean, all the dominoes are falling quickly across the league, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it really is.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the first news. Well, first of all, okay, the Steelers have just announced they've released Larry Ogunjobi.
Yeah.
That saves $7 million against the salary cap. They also offered a second-round tender to Jaylen Warren.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they might go cheaper than that, but they had the
money.
money.
Wanted to make sure that it.
Yeah.
So he's probably not getting touched.
No.
I would.
And also signed exclusive rights free agent Ryan McCullum, which we thought would happen.
Oh, okay. I missed that with all the news today, but good.
In addition, last night was the big move.
Yeah.
They go out and they trade a second-round pick. There's also some later-round picks that were involved in this, but they swapped some picks there with Seattle to acquire DK Metcalf.
I'm a fan. I mean, this is a big move. I don't think it's one of the worst-kept secrets ever. They've been looking for a receiver for a year and a half now. I mean, a brand name.
And did not want to get shut out in this.
Right. Give me the bird in the hand, and it's a impressive bird. I mean, I was very, very familiar, obviously, with Metcalf, but since trading for him, I dug into him even more. The scouting report on him is – I can't wait to see him in person. I mean, like, we've seen some big wideouts, but not like this dude. I mean,
so last night after the trade, my wife hadn't watched the Super Bowl version of the Great American Baking Show, which DK Metcalf
you mentioned that before he was on there.
The Super Bowl version of it. And so they show him now. He's on there with Eric Armstead and Tony Gonzalez,
tight end and a 6'8" defensive end or whatever.
Along with there were a couple of actresses on there. One act, Amy Smart, and then somebody else. Anyways,
okay.
So they show them all walking out together to go into the baking tent. And I told my wife, I said, the guy in the middle is a wide receiver.
He's a little fast guy.
The guy next to him.
That's how I described to my wife. He's the little fast guy that catches passes.
A Hall of Fame tight end who he's bigger than.
Yeah. Oh, I bet he's bigger than Gonzalez.
Yeah, he made Gonzalez look kind of small. I said, the guy next to him then is a 6'8" defensive end.
Yeah, who's probably close to 300 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
With
every
arms
bit
this long, et cetera, too. And he probably looks like he belongs or the second biggest guy.
He didn't look like he was 6'8".
He didn't look like the fastest guy there
No.
or the most athletic of that crew. So he is incredibly impressive physically. And boy, what I didn't quite realize how fast he gets to top speed. I mean, he is a nightmare.
It was like 1.46 at the combine.
I bet. And he looks faster than that now. His strides are is flying. So the reason he was in the Deontay Johnson draft and the reason he didn't go as high as it was a great receiver draft. Him and A.J. Brown end up going the second round. They were teammates. He had a terrible 3-cone drill and everyone killed him for it. I don't think it matters at all.
No.
And here's why. I mean,
and he's shown that over the course of his career.
Because he comes off the line so
you can't press him.
He beats the crap out of press, for one thing. And he gets corners to flip their hips so fast that he can break it off and steal a slant from you at all times. I mean, because he is so big and powerful and explosive off the ball. He's one of the best deep threats in the league. And the change of direction stuff has definitely improved. Like, there's no doubt in my mind he's worked on out routes and comebacks and slants and coming out of his breaks. Presents a big target. He's got good hands. Now, there's a couple negatives. He's not as good a contested ball catcher as you think he is because he's the biggest receiver on the planet. He doesn't moss people left and right on fades. Like, Pickens is more that style. He's fumbled a lot. You know, he's an aggressive run after the catch guy that tries to break tackles and often does and just destroys little people trying to tackle him. And he's volatile on the field. He's taken some penalties that he needs to clean up and get a better grasp of.
It's all on the field stuff.
Oh, yeah.
With him.
I mean, right.
Kind of like
character stuff.
When you talk about Pickens and people, well, he's such a problem. It's on the field stuff. It's not off the field stuff.
Right.
And again, I ask you to go watch.
A lot of it's competitiveness.
Yeah, go watch that Great American Baking Show. It's on Roku or whatever. I don't even know what it's on, but you can search it. It's out there. And I came away from that. I remember watching it around the Super Bowl, and I'm like, he's a lot different guy than I thought he was.
I don't know his
based on his on-field.
Yeah.
And he even said at one point, he when they were introducing him, he said, "I'm a lot different person off the field than I am on it."
Like a Palomalu or whatever. Yeah, right.
He just has a really competitive streak. To your point about that 2019 draft.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin has the most catches of any receiver taken in that draft.
Third rounder, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has 460 catches for 6,379 yards. A.J. Brown is second, 446 for 7,026. Metcalf was third with 438 for 6,348 touchdowns.
Yeah, 48 touchdowns.
48 touchdowns.
The only
guy with more is A.J. Brown.
Okay, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
He went 2 picks ahead of Deontay Johnson.
Andy Isabella's in there ahead of him. I mean, that's a weird receiver
Debo
draft.
Samuel was in that draft as well.
It's a great draft class, right?
Marquise Brown was in that draft. Hunter Renfrow, Darius Slayton. I mean, there were some dudes that have played well,
big time,
in that draft, and there were some other guys that haven't really hit.
Mm-hmm. I think Marquise Brown was the first one taken in that class. Pretty sure because the day 2 guys were way better than the day 1s.
Let me see here. I got that here in front of me.
Here's a little thing I think people will get a kick out or be encouraged with too.
No, N'Keal Henry went.
Henry went that.
N'Keal Harry, I should say.
Harry, yeah,
was the
Patriots.
first receiver taken at 32. Then you have Marquise Brown, a few picks later. Then it was J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Yeah, there's some misses
at 57. Andy Isabella at 62. Paris Campbell at 59.
Then it starts to get good.
Yeah.
Then it's like A.J. Brown.
Mecole Hardman was in there. He went at 56.
Okay.
Debo Samuel went at 36. These aren't in the right order.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think Harry was first.
Metcalf was the 64th pick in that draft. I get this.
Deontay was 66 that year.
Let me see here. Okay, yeah, Marquise Brown was 25th.
Okay, that makes sense.
There we go. And then N'Keal Harry was right after that at 32.
Yeah, and Super Bowl champs.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Then it was Debo, A.J. Brown at 51.
Mm-hmm.
Mecole Hardman at 56. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside at 57. Philadelphia again. Philadelphia can't draft wide receivers, by the way.
Devontae Smith's their first hit in 1,000 years. That's why they traded for A.J. Brown.
Paris Campbell at 59. Andy Isabella at 62. And DK Metcalf was at 64.
Deontay was right after.
Deontay Johnson was 2 picks later at 66.
Yeah, the day 2 receivers were pretty awesome. So I just heard this morning, too, that Seattle, despite their issues on offense, and they had a lot, they couldn't protect at all. I mean, at all. Their offensive lines are really bad. Still saw like the 3rd highest percentage of too high shells. And Smith-Njigba is not a deep threat, and Tyler Lockett ain't what he used to be. Why do you think they saw too high shells?
Geno's not a great deep thrower.
And they can't protect.
Yeah.
I mean, their running game was not threatening. But if you have Pickens and Metcalf on the outside, you're going to see too high all the
safeties are going to be
time.
20 yards off the line of scrimmage.
And
they have to be.
And if they're not, I don't know who the quarterback is at the moment.
It could be me.
Is going to probably go their way on one-on-ones.
Yeah.
And I just think it has a huge ripple effect to the run game. I mean, Steelers ran into what they deemed loaded boxes at one of the highest percentages in the league. That's going to go down. I mean, it has to.
So they traded away a 2nd-round draft pick to make this happen. And my immediate thought was 21 is now in play for a running back.
I thought the same thing, too. Like, just go into the deep end offensively.
Yeah.
Assuming they sign Rodgers or Wilson or whoever, if Hampton's sitting there, do you just go, we're fixing the offense.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it. We're getting skill guys.
Because you're not going to get the pick again until 84.
Until 84. Now, I think trading down from 21 is a better chance now than ever, too, just to get one more pick.
But somebody's going to want to come up to get someone.
Right.
That's the problem with that.
And we talked about this off the air, and this is getting into the weeds, but right now they are so set up for comp picks next year with Dan Moore's contract, Fields' contract. Slay doesn't count against this group. either quarterback wouldn't count against this group. Metcalf doesn't count against this group. Then maybe you're even trading a third next year on draft day for somebody you like too, or moving up somewhere in the middle portions of the draft to day 2. They got a lot of future draft picks coming their way.
Yeah, the problem is you don't have those comp picks yet, and
right.
so
You'd have to trade your own pick. Right.
You'd have to trade your own pick. So you can trade 2/3 to move up into the second round.
I know. Yeah.
Then you don't go. You go from whatever 58 or whatever to 122 before you have another pick.
Like I would imagine they're trying to get a second round pick somehow.
Somehow, some way.
But to me, DK straight up for a second round pick is a deal that's a very good value to me.
Now, does that mean, and we've talked about this, that you can't have George Pickens and DK Metcalf on the same team?
I don't know.
In some ways, I get it. They're both very volatile.
Mm-hmm. And they have some similar overlying skill sets.
There's some overlying skill sets. I think Metcalf has shown the ability to go over the middle more than Pickens
Yes,
has.
yeah. Drag. I mean, Pickens can
He can do those, yeah.
He lollygags over the middle more than I would like. And we know that this has not been an over-the-field passing attack really for several years. It's not just a Wilson or Fields thing, but it's not their specialty either. I think they do have to attack the middle of the field more. But Metcalf on crossers and things like that is pretty accomplished. I mean, he's not bad at that at all. I don't know what you do about Pickens versus Metcalf. I mean, it's tantalizing to me to put those two outside the numbers every snap, and then Wilson and Austin factor in here and there when you go to 3 wide.
You get a couple of small forwards.
Right.
Actually, a small forward and a power forward.
With Washington and Freiermuth.
Yeah.
I mean, your pass catchers are ginormous.
I'm saying then you add a 220-pound running back to that equation. It's like,
well, yeah. And a developing O-line and all those things. So that's appealing. But if they were to look at this like, well, we invested a ton in Metcalf, we're going to get that second plus or whatever for Pickens, sign Slayton or something along those lines. I totally understand that as well. But the Twin Towers, as it stands Monday at 4:15 or whatever, is pretty threatening.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's kind of like what the Chargers used to have when they had Mike Williams. And Keenan Allen's not small. He's 6'2".
No, right.
And they always had another big receiver on the outside, and it was a handful.
And it made me think, too, that right after the Super Bowl, we know that the Steelers have a lot of Eagles ties. They signed an Eagle today. I mean, and especially if it was going to be Fields being the Hurts, throwing to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, I mean, those two receivers have a ton of value in that offense, even though they run the ball like crazy, because you can't load the box as much. You know what I mean? Like, you could still sort of mimic what they do on offense.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how this continues to play out here as we continue to get into free agency.
And as for Pickens, you can be very patient, too. I mean, if you are considering trading him, you don't have to do that soon.
You can do that whenever.
You could do that during the draft. You could do it in training camp. I mean, teams are going to need receivers. They're starting to dry up.
Yeah.
But no, there's a lot more moves to happen.
No, I don't think they're anywhere close to being done yet.
No.
And
obviously, quarterback's the biggest shoe to drop. But
yeah, but that hasn't happened yet.
No.
And so we'll see if it happens here while we're on the air here. At some point, it is going to happen. They will.
They're going to have another quarterback.
I've already had people. They've done all this stuff, but they still don't have a quarterback. I guarantee you, folks, when they line up in September, there will be somebody standing behind the center accepting the football.
I bet it's not Skylar Thompson.
I'll bet it's not.
On opening day, yeah.
That would be my guess.
Something's going to happen soon.
Yeah.
The one thing I've heard, too, and I don't quite agree with, is the Steelers have missed out on all these free agents because no one wants to play here because they don't know who the quarterback is. I don't know who they've been – who's that guy that you're talking about?
Do you think that before they made the trade for DK Metcalf,
right,
they had no contact whatsoever with DK Metcalf and his agents, and then when the trade was made, they had no contact. They made a deal with as soon as he was
I would like to know who the guys they missed out on are.
Yeah,
I don't.
I guarantee they went to DK Metcalf and said, "Here's what we're looking at."
Was Byron Murphy going to come here?
These are the 3 or 4 guys.
Right.
No,
right.
No.
I mean, I don't know who these guys are that they missed out on. I mean, because they've been sitting on their hands doing nothing because they don't have a quarterback. It's not how the league works.
No,
it just isn't.
This roster, whether it's Russ or whether it's Aaron Rodgers, whichever one they decide on, is already better than the one that they finished last season with.
Yes.
Once they add the other pieces in there.
Yeah.
Because losing Dante Jackson doesn't.
I thought he was a liability.
I
was hard on him all year.
That doesn't factor into anything. Losing Najee Harris, as much as he was valuable for you, doesn't move the needle all that much.
I didn't also think he's a great fit in this offense.
Right.
All the zone stuff, he doesn't have very good vision. He's hard to tackle. He's super reliable. He had a nice stint here. That's not what I'm looking for my next back.
The offensive linemen that you lost, you expected to lose.
Oh, yeah. They're all back.
They were already,
right,
it was already in the cards. Like
nothing came out of left field. I mean, there wasn't a curveball that you didn't see coming.
The only spot you don't have a starter at right now, assuming that the Darius Slay stuff
the corner stuff I'd like to get firmed up too. And I wish he was 5 years younger.
Is replacing Larry Ogunjobi.
Yes.
In a great defensive tackle draft.
Yep. And you're short a second-round pick now.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, your draft resources are less, and they have other things they have to address in the draft. But there's also defensive linemen that are unemployed at the moment, too.
Who will, they're all of a sudden they start looking around going, I'll take the $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not done.
No, not by a long shot. And, again, we're just over 29 hours into free agency right now.
It's a little early.
It's a little early to start freaking out.
Start freaking out. And there will be people available
all
via
is well.
trade. Right. We'll see. Things to your roster, yeah.
But the third and fourth ones aren't going anywhere.
No, those are the big ticket stuff.
Those are the ones you care about.
Not to mention if Wilson signs somewhere else.
Right.
I mean, he's going
to cancel.
He's going to make double-digit millions.
Yeah, that's going to cancel a lot of that out.
So they're going to be loaded with next year's comp picks, which I know everyone doesn't quite understand. Like I got a couple questions. Jason at OTC does an amazing job, and I put out the what they're projected for right now. He's on top of it. You've tuned me into it, and people are like, "Well, can we trade those?" No, but you could trade your third or your fourth,
knowing that
next
you
year,
have that,
knowing that these things are coming.
Or you trade your 4 because you got a 3.
Right, exactly, right.
So you got the other
stuff's on,
and
the
you've
way.
also got the 4, so you could also trade your 5, because you don't want to get too far back. But
and today, this year's became official.
Yeah,
like 365 days from now, the Steelers are going to be awarded a third, a fourth, and whatever else.
Here's what it means. So the compensatory picks in the third round this year that were awarded are picks 97 through 102.
It's always the end of the round.
Yeah, it's the end of the third round. So you're looking at the Steelers potentially getting picked 99 for Dan Moore.
Yeah, right in that neighborhood, right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Top 100
top
pick.
100 pick? Yeah,
right.
I'll take
for
that.
For a guy you didn't plan on resigning?
Yeah,
right.
give me 3, 4, the fourth round compensatory picks this year are in the 130s.
Mm-hmm.
So in reality, you could come out of this with, you're going to have right now, as things stand next year, 6 picks in the top 130.
Yeah,
somewhere
how about that?
In that range.
How about that? Yeah, that's where they're sitting right now. If they don't make any other moves or trade Pickens for a future second or whatever, I mean, like
whatever you do,
you're sitting pretty nice. Yeah,
yeah, it's not a bad place to be.
And again, that could bundle up to go get a quarterback. That could be whatever you want.
I'm one of these mock drafts. We do a mock draft. But boy, I'd like to have some extra picks here in some of these rounds. And it's like, now you're going to have them.
I mean, yes, and without having to trade down and lose your picks and all that stuff too. So,
or you have the ability now to package your 2 third-round picks to move up and get an extra 2 if you want. Something along those lines.
Yeah, and it wouldn't shock me at all if they offer up next year's third or fourth, the Steeler picks, to get a day 2 pick this year or whatever. I mean, they just have a lot of cards in their hand.
Yeah. As we speak here, it's become official.
Yeah.
That DK Metcalf is a Steeler, and as they also have signed cornerback Darius Slay.
Okay, those are official in the books.
Done.
Concrete. Boom. Yeah. Back to Rudolph. I love it. I mean, I just think it gives you a guy you can line up and play with. Maybe he's just your number 2 for the next 2 years. It's reportedly a 2-year deal. $8 million over 2 from what they say. Fine. Yeah, he's that good a player. I'm fine with him there. He's shown he can win games in this league. If Rodgers is going to screw around for who knows how long, all right, I'm done with that. Move on. Wilson's taken a tour of Browns and Giant Land and get the impression he probably won't be back, but who knows? I could write a story where you go with Rudolph and a rookie and try to win 13-9 time and time again. I mean, he's not the next Ben or Bradshaw, but it's a quality dude in the room, and it's a start,
All I've heard, though, is that the Steelers can't develop quarterbacks. Mike Tomlin has never developed a quarterback. He had been for 15 years. Well, yeah, you don't have to develop a quarterback.
You're not using first-round picks to try to replace Ben in year 3.
Right.
Right.
So, you're not going to develop a quarterback in that time period.
Right.
But that overlooks the fact that they did develop Mason Rudolph.
Right. He's gotten better and better, and his end of stint here was pretty darn good. Nobody succeeded in Tennessee, and I didn't think he played bad for the Titans. So, no, I think this is a real good pickup. I think there's a chance he's your opening day starter. I mean, that sounds far-fetched. I think there's –
I don't.
I mean, I assume
I think he's number 2.
I think that's
whoever comes.
Great. That's what you want. He might be the number 2 next year with a first-round pick. I mean, there's just a lot of different avenues.
Ideally, they wanted him back last year, and he chose to go to Tennessee because he saw a better opportunity to start, and he was right.
Yeah.
But they wanted him back last year.
Tennessee doesn't block anyone, but
I don't know if that had been the case. I don't know that they ever would have made the trade for Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's possible. Right.
I mean, you don't know how the dominoes fall.
Right.
In that situation.
But you don't need 3, that are legit dudes. Not this, hanger-oner type guys. Yeah, maybe not.
But once Pickett said he wanted out, now they had to go get a credible backup, and so they made the trade.
Rudolph was already gone at that point.
And Rudolph was gone. Yeah.
Okay, because that happened post free agency, the Pickett trade, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and thus the Fields trade. I'm trying to put the timeline together.
Yeah, Wilson was the opening day of the tampering period.
Okay,
and then the rest of it fell in line over the next several days.
Okay, so you're still under the impression, not that this would change anything we thought one day ago, that Rodgers or a brand name starter will be the opening day starter.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I tend to agree.
To me, it's still Rodgers or Wilson.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's cool with me too.
I know it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
People want the immediacy of it, but that's what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine.
And if it's not that, then Kirk Cousins, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say Cousins, or you could even still trade for Carr or something like that.
Or Purdy, apparently. I don't know.
Or Purdy, right. The Mac Jones thing's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I could see Shanahan falling in love with him, being like, I'm done negotiating with Purdy. Let's move him to
we're not going to pay
the
him
Titans or somebody.
Yeah,
or whatever,
we're not going to pay him what he wants to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to move on.
Yeah, he loved Mac Jones coming out of school. That's a really interesting one to me. It doesn't sound like much, but Purdy and Rudolph moves intrigued me to no end today.
Yeah. In fact, if
or the Mac Jones.
Mac Jones was the guy I was looking at. If you didn't get these guys and some of the backups that have been signed over the last day, I'm like, well, Mac Jones wouldn't be bad as a backup.
No, I mean, I wish he moved better. I mean, he has his warts, but he played pretty well for the Jags in a tough situation. Played really well in a rookie as a really tough situation. I think he's going to have a successful career, and he might be this year's Sam Darnold. Where it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. Anyways, so the Steelers making it official with Malik Harrison, with I got to think of all the names now. Brandon Eccles.
Okay, so all those guys
they're all now officially Steelers.
In Pittsburgh.
Darius Slay. Who am I missing here? I said Metcalf and the running back, Kenneth Gainwell.
Oh, Gainwell too. Okay.
Whereas he said today, just call me Kenny G.
Kenny G. Okay, nice. I like it.
Smooth jazz.
Smooth jazz. Okay, good. I think these are all quality pickups. We've broken them all down. I looked more into Eccles because that happened like real close when we were on the air. Interesting. I mean, if you know the Jets corner situation, it was Reed and Sauce on the outside. And I should remember his name off the top of my head, but their slot is a really good slot too.
He's
a really good player. Yeah. I forget his name. But 2 weeks
was it Michael Carter or
Yeah. And Carter. There's been a couple Michael Carters in the league, and two of them were drafted the same year by the Jets, which makes me happy. But anyway, Eccles 2 years ago played a ton of slot, hardly at all outside. Last year he played very little slot and a lot outside, and every year he's played a lot of teams. So he's going to help you somewhere.
Right.
He's going to help you somewhere.
And he's an extreme athlete.
And he's an extreme athlete. Again, not a terrible cost. I think he's an upgrade over Beanie day one, as your slot, but doesn't prohibit you from finding a safety type slot that you like, or he could get you out of a game for sure, or start games on the outside. And frankly, we talk a lot about outside versus slot, et cetera, et cetera. The thing is, you kind of have to be able to do both. I mean, in this league, if you're only an outside corner and are not comfortable near the line of scrimmage, do you know what McVay and Shanahan do? They motion the receiver so you're close to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
You can't just stand out there outside the numbers guarding nobody. That's
Doesn't
not
work
how
that
this
way.
works. You
Yeah.
know, so the slot outside thing is something we stress a lot, and it's true, but you got to do everything. You know, and
Yeah,
Eccles
you really
can.
do.
Yeah.
And, they haven't had that potential there with, that's why they went to Cam Sutton last year. It didn't necessarily work out.
But I understood
super
the
well.
logic.
Yeah.
I mean, what he brought to the table, especially before he left, was something they were looking for. And I think Eccles should or looks like he could fill that role.
Yeah. So, they're not the earth-shattering moves I think a lot of people. I mean, Metcalf and Slay are.
Earth, yeah. Slay's a big deal, too.
Yeah.
I thought he played really well last year. And the more I looked into Slay, the more I like that one.
Yeah.
Now, the track record of over 30 corners isn't great in this league. But get 1 year out of him as a mentor type, plays a lot of man. If he plays like he did last year, you'll be fine.
And you just got Eccles, who can also do that. You still have Corey Trice on the roster who can do that. So
drafting one's not out of the question either. I mean, I don't think first round pick, but a day 2 or day 3 guy I think is possible.
Yeah, I think defensive line. I think they take day 1 defensive lineman, day 2 defensive lineman, and right now they only have 2 picks on day 1 and 2. Day 1 and day 2. Because that's the one spot that they haven't been able to address yet.
And they actually lost a guy.
And people are, why haven't they done that? We don't know how much you're paying your quarterback yet.
Mm-hmm.
You might have an idea, but the difference between what you're going to pay Rodgers or what you're going to pay Russ don't necessarily – that affects what you spend
I know.
on a big ticket
way.
item.
And they're definitely going to draft a back, and I think they're going to draft D-line a lot. That's the one thing I kind of wish they had was a Hargrave or an Allen or somebody like that. If you could turn back time and throw one of them on the team, you'd be a little more comfortable as it stands now. But the rookie class is good.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And I was fiddling with a mock. Like, I don't think it's crazy that Nolan or Grant is there in the first round. I mean, I think that could happen.
Yeah, even if you traded down, you're probably a good chance you get one of those guys because it is so deep, much like the running back position, where teams may say, you know what? I like these guys, but I like 7 of them.
Yeah.
But we need an offensive lineman.
Badly,
or I like this.
right.
I like these guys. I like 7 of them, but we need a cornerback.
Yeah.
Or we need a wide receiver.
Edge guys, I think, will go reasonably quick as well. And, yeah, I hear you. So I definitely think running back and especially D-line are massive draft priorities for where they sit now. And I don't know if they'll draft a quarterback at all.
I mean, I could say taking a late one. I don't know that, Skylar Thompson isn't guaranteed any spot.
No. Right.
Again, so when you don't have one per se, or you don't have a long-term answer at quarterback, I'm on board for drafting one every year.
I certainly am for where they're at, and I like a lot of those guys too. As early as round 2-ish, I
can't go round 2.
I would not be in round.
Well, they don't have a round. They don't have.
Well,
a round
I know
2
as
pick.
it stands right to second, but if it were Dart or Shuck, wherever you have to pay for them, I wouldn't mind having those guys around. I'm not paying up for Sanders, though.
No.
Nor am I interested in him at 21.
Yeah. Let's say worst case scenario happens here. Let's say Rodgers decides to sign with the Giants.
Retires.
Or the Vikings, or retires, or whatever.
Yeah.
He's not available.
Right.
Russ takes one of the other spots.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is there. But if that also happens, do the Giants, let's say the Giants fill their spot, do they still take Ward number 1?
I don't think they're not going to move to 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do they trade up to number 1?
The more I look at the Titans, I think they're not even open for business.
Doesn't look like it.
I think they take Ward.
It's certainly looking that way.
And they're going to take Ward.
Yeah.
And I think now the Giants are the team I think that's struggling. Like, now what do? We thought we could maybe get involved there. Their owners basically said you have to get a quarterback. That's when mistakes are made. Do you take Sanders at 3, even though he's your 20th
I think they wait until
player?
the top of the second round to take one. That's why I don't think that Dart's not going to be there where the Steelers would have picked him round 2.
Right.
And I'm not taking him at 21.
I actually did a mock today, and I had Ward going to Tennessee, and then I cut and pasted almost the exact same sentence on purpose for the Browns, saying, well, Browns are going to take Abdul Carter, and then the second round they'll go for a quarterback, or something like that. And I said the exact same thing for the Giants, too.
See, I think that the Kenny Pickett trade could take them out of the market for a young quarterback.
I don't know what they think of him, but
they could they could punt it to next year.
I think that would be smart.
Get through this year, spend the year working with Pickett.
Mm-hmm.
His contract's up at the end of this year. You'll see what you have. You could be in that Justin Fields situation. If he has to play this year for you and does – I mean, nobody's going to do great with that Cleveland team this year. But if he does okay and you say there's enough there that we can move forward, you re-sign him to a mid-level deal, and then you can still draft one.
It's not terrible. I would think that there's going to be a Cousins involved or something on that team.
Well, they're going to sign somebody else.
It's odd to me that Wilson's was even there today because I don't know how they can afford $20+ million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to play for 10.
Yeah.
Russ,
Well, if you don't have a job,
right?
Any job is good, and he still wants to play.
But what's a Winston or asking for now? Probably half of what he did a week ago.
Yeah,
I mean, just think of other options. Back to if Rodgers and Wilson can't or won't be Steelers, I would look to Cousins. I would looked into the Carr situation with the Saints, although I think they have no self-awareness of where they're at. But they restructured Carr's contract just so they could get cap compliant, of course. But he's like an $85 million cap hit a year from now. He costs if they were to trade him, it has to be after June 1.
After June 1st, yeah.
And he costs a new team like nothing.
Yeah.
Because he got all his signing bonus, there's everything up front. I could live with Rudolph and Carr.
He could be the guy who ends up in Cleveland.
Could be. Because Cousins and Carr could cost the new teams nothing.
Because it looks like Atlanta is willing at this point to pay the $10 million roster bonus to Cousins.
Yeah.
And hold him for now.
Yeah, they don't have to move anytime soon.
Right.
I wonder if you were to make a Cousins deal, could you say, we'll give you the 7th-round pick or 6th-round pick or whatever. Let's split his salary. You pick up half of it. I'm not even saying for the Steelers, for the Browns or whatever the new he's not going to be a Falcon, I don't think.
Yeah.
But they could take him up to camp.
Well, the Browns have a bunch of picks.
They have picks, yeah.
And so I think, that's what Atlanta's hoping for. Like, hey, we're not going to just cut him free and pay him to go play for them. If they
cut him, it's a Russell Wilson.
Yeah. If we're gonna do this, they're gonna have to trade us something.
Yeah. I think that's
they've
what they're
got 11
holding
draft
on to.
picks, and I think that hey, even if it's a 5, it's a 5.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah,
but if someone
we're eating this thing one way or the other,
if someone was willing to take the contract now,
then it's a 7.
Take whatever. Yeah, give me anything. Swap future picks. They would love that. I can't imagine anyone doing that.
No,
we're just going to eat the contract.
No.
Certainly not the Browns. They can't.
Right.
The Steelers could, but I don't think that's good business.
Yeah.
But if you could say take half of it. Yeah, maybe, It's not great.
No, no, it's not ideal. But again, this is where you're at when you don't have a franchise quarterback. We went through all the list of the various quarterbacks the Steelers rolled through in the 80s and early 90s. And on the message board, they went to 9 AFC I don't know if it was 9, but they did go to AFC championships, and they went to a Super Bowl.
During that year.
During that 21-year span.
Yeah.
And, we're going to compare that to what they're currently doing now. Look, all I've ever heard for many years, and I disagree with it, as I disagree with the other premise on this side of it, but Bill Cowher went to his early success with Chuck Noll's guys.
Yeah.
And Mike Tomlin had his early success with Bill Cowher's guys. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And you're going to inheret people on the roster.
Everybody
you don't come
does.
to every new coach that got hired this year didn't go to a roster of 0 people on it.
Right. But the one thing that the early 90 teams that Cowher inherited, they did a good job of drafting, in filling spots, and free agency had just started. So you added Kevin Green, you had guys that, and they competed despite the quarterback, but they still only made one Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah, there were 9 AFC championships in there, 9, but you made one Super Bowl. And it's a hell of a lot tougher right now in the AFC.
No, it is. There's no question.
to get to the AFC championship, because you've got 4 stud quarterbacks in the freaking conference.
Yeah. I mean, there were good quarterbacks then, but the 4 best guys weren't in the same conference.
Like for the early 90s, you were penciling the Bills were 4 straight years.
Yeah.
But who were the other good teams at that point in the AFC? There was a reason why those Bills teams were there every year.
So dominant,
and then the Steelers took over that spot and still didn't, in 1994, didn't make the Super Bowl. They got upset as a double-digit favorite at home by the Chargers.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have a quarterback.
Which would have sure helped. Yeah, absolutely.
You got to have the quarterback.
Yeah. And you got to turn every rock over to try to find them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's what they're doing.
Yeah, even in those games, I covered all those AFC Championship games from 93 on. I was at every single one. Who did they lose to in those games?
Brady.
Other than Stan Humphries.
Right.
You lost to Brady. You lost to Elway. You lost to
then you look at the quarterbacks that have multiple rings in history. They're the best guys.
Yeah.
Obviously. Right.
Like it sure helps to have the quarterback.
It sure helps.
If you don't have the quarterback, you better have a damn good roster. And even that doesn't guarantee you anything. The 95 team made it there because the Colts couldn't complete a Hail Mary.
I mean, it was darn
the ball
close
was
to
on
happen.
Aaron Bailey's chest.
Right.
If the ball doesn't roll off of Aaron Bailey's chest.
I remember my heart was in my throat. I mean, it was like, I thought he caught it. You're right.
Yeah.
Watching on TV.
I was on the field for that. And everybody in that stadium just went,
wow. Yeah.
Did that just happen?
Yep.
Yeah. So, if you have the quarterback, it makes it so much easier.
Well, that's no question, gets you in the dance or gets you in the conversation.
You're competing every year in and year out if you have the quarterback. If you don't have the quarterback, the people that say that Mike Tomlin, who's taken this team to the playoffs in 4 of the last 5 years with no quarterback, with 5, it's going to be this year 5 different, a 5th starting quarterback in the last 5 seasons, and you've made the playoffs every year?
Yeah.
I know we were talking yesterday about this and said, well, they're more the Colts right now than they are the Browns.
Yes. Okay.
They're closer to the Colts than they are the Browns. The Colts weren't making the playoffs and haven't made the playoffs with their string of retread quarterbacks that they've been running out there.
No, I see what you're saying. Yeah. They have not been a successful organization with those guys.
They've been okay. They've been mediocre.
They've been okay.
They've been a
mediocre.
They've been
team,
7 to 8 win, 6 sometimes 6, but maybe they get to 9 on this year. Steelers have been in the playoffs 4 of the last 5 years.
And maybe this sounds extreme, but if they had to go with Rudolph all year, I still might think they're a top 7 AFC team.
We went over that last week.
If the defense can be dominant, and if they can run the ball 4.3 yards a carry, not 4.0,
we know Mike Tomlin knows how to win games like that. They're going to win. They'll win in the margins. They'll win on special teams. They'll win with the defense. They'll run the football.
They made some special teams adjustments and stuff too, and some additions. So, I mean, even if it's Rudolph all year long, I don't think this is a 4-win team. I guess is my point.
It's just not a fun way to live.
It's brutal. And it's a hard way to be a fan too. I mean,
I get it.
I mean, I think the fans are a little spoiled. They're a little testy right around now, but I feel for them in those kind of games. I mean, when every game's down to getting this bounce or this kick or whatever, it's tough. I mean, there's no question.
Try living in my shoes. I got to write a game story off of these things that immediately, as soon as the clock hits 0, I got to have a game story up on Steelers.com.
Right. So you write a paragraph, delete it. Write a paragraph, delete it.
These games are going down. Oh, did they get this defensive stop? No. The Cincinnati playoff game in 2016. I had 5 different stories written.
Really?
I mean, I had 2 columns going.
Yeah.
Because, again, at that, Marvin, I was still at the Observer Reporter. Marvin Lewis was a Washington County guy. if he won that playoff game, is his first playoff win. I got to write, well, look at it. It's so good for Marvin.
Right.
I had the Steelers win column, Steelers lose column, or Bengals win column.
But it happened to be a Bengal game with Marvin.
And those things all had to be in at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
All hell broke loose at about 10:45 in that game when Ben goes trotting off. And then...
So, I mean, it's getting fouled at 11 no matter what.
No matter, like, this is deadline.
Yeah,
this is when
okay.
the deadline. Like, you can't push deadline.
Yeah.
Like, all right, what do I got here? And Ben left the field. He's hurt. Oh, boy. They can't get a first down. Landry Jones throws the interception. All right. Steelers lost the playoff game.
Right, that version.
The fumble.
Scratch that.
That. Roethlisberger comes trotting back out of the out of the tunnel. Oh, Ben's going back in. Doesn't go back in. Then all of a sudden he does. They get the Antonio Brown play.
Yeah.
And they move the ball down. They kick the field goal and win. I'm like,
it's almost 11 o'clock.
I almost had a heart attack.
I can imagine. Like,
it was beating 1,000. Like, and that ended at like 10:59. Boom! There. Don't even know what I wrote.
Yeah, I say you can't even proofread it. Yeah, right.
20,000 words on that game, of which we used 2,000.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah,
that's how it goes. Like, oh, what is your stressful job? Yeah, it's a stressful job sometimes.
Yeah, it can be.
It can be.
Yep,
deadlines are deadlines.
Yep.
Like, it's costing the company money if my story isn't in at that minute.
People pick up paper. They want to read about.
They want to read about. They don't want to read tomorrow's paper about
the game that happened 3 minutes ago.
Read Tuesday's paper about Sunday's playoff game. Doesn't work that way.
I'm not subscribing anymore. Right.
Yeah. So, that's the life of a sports writer. But, I mean, you got to have the quarterback.
Yeah, and I don't know what that path is. I mean, I am intrigued with Rodgers on the field, what he could be.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely intriguing. And I think the ceiling's the highest of all those names we mentioned. If someone were to have lead you to playoff victories, I think it would be Rodgers of that group. But you can't wait around forever for the guy either.
You can't wait forever.
Right.
Yeah, you have to somebody needs to fly to Malibu.
Is that where he's at the moment?
That's where he's at. That's where the pictures were at from yesterday.
He's on the beach.
Fly to Malibu. While he's walking on the beach, walk out and draw a line in the sand. Say, Aaron, there's your line in the sand. We got to know.
Walk over it or not. Right.
Yeah.
Here's a contract on one side of it, and there's a flight back to Pittsburgh on the other or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's a ticket. If you want it, it's yours. If not, I'm getting on.
Now. Yeah. Right. The tide's coming in to erase this line and saying, I'm leaving.
Big guys, the sun's getting low.
Yeah, we got to go.
So, Matt, I thought we would take a look at the biggest contracts that have been handed out.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
And we'll look at these as average per year.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of them we don't know the particulars yet.
And what's crazy is
there's funny money involved sometimes.
Some of these. Look, I had a good conversation the other day. Like these true free agent contracts, what percentage of them does the player see every dollar of? It's pretty low.
Low.
I mean, it's really low.
These are not. This is not baseball. This is not hockey. This is not the NBA. These are not fully guaranteed unless they say fully guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's way under 50%.
So at quarterback, you have Sam Darnold at $33.5 million per year.
Per year, okay.
That's your first team player. The second team player would be Justin Fields at $20 million per year. And here's the thing. I was reading more about that today. And really what Fields' contract is a 1-year, $30 million deal.
I saw the same. Maybe I saw the same thing because it's like a 2-year, 20 per, but 30 is guaranteed. So he's getting 30, but if he's not good, he's not getting the last 10. Or
I don't care. Somebody on our message board today on YouTube was, the Steelers don't want to pay for a young player. I'm not paying $30 million for Justin Fields.
I mean, if it really is, which it is. I mean, I wish I knew more about contracts.
Just because the Jets did it doesn't mean that it's right.
Right. That's if your friend jumps off a bridge, right, that whole thing. But 1 year, $30 million guaranteed is basically what the contract is, with an option to pick up the next 10.
Right.
I mean, which is a good deal if he's great. But I'm not signing him to a 1 year.
If
30.
he's great, though, he's going to want.
And then you're going to do it again.
He's going to want more next. After this one. Well, I've only got 1 year left. Let's talk new contract
again. Right. And he's very unproven. I mean, very much unproven. So. Right. There's a lot he needs to improve upon.
Sam Darnold is more proven.
I think
right now than him.
Yeah, all around. I would rather have if you told me the Steelers could mimic one of those two contracts, I'd take Darnold for the buck. I don't love either.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I think Darnold still struggles with pressure. I don't know that either one's going to be super successful in their new building either.
And folks, before you start going, well, you said don't follow what the Jets do, but the Steelers may sign Aaron Rodgers. The Jets traded for Aaron Rodgers.
They gave up a lot.
They gave up a lot of draft picks and then gave him a bunch of money.
A couple of years ago too. I mean, times have changed, right?
And they gave up second round picks and stuff that are valuable for a 2-year rental.
Yeah,
really a 1 year. They got 1 year out of him.
They, unfortunately, he gets hurt.
Yeah,
4 plays into his, Jets tenure, but they didn't know that. They also had more options at the time too.
Right.
I mean, there's not much out there right
now. At running back, Aaron Jones, $10 million a year.
Okay.
Najee Harris got his base is $5.3 million.
And I think there's a lot of incentives there. He can get up
he
pretty
can get
high.
up to 9.2.
Okay. That's kind of the going rate. I mean, Jones is a good player. I mean, I give Minnesota credit for not – if you're going to let Darnold walk, they went out and totally rebuilt their interior O-line and D-line and kept Jones. I mean, it's nice work considering you've no day 2 picks.
At wide receiver, there's 6 of these guys listed here. They haven't broken it down to first team, second team. This is a thing the NFL put out today.
Okay.
Chris Godwin at $22 million a year.
Apparently, he turned down a lot more from New England and others because he's worth more than that.
Devontae Adams was $22 million per year on average.
He's not coming here, folks. I mean, he wanted to go to the West Coast. I mean, I would have gladly given him $22 million, but that's not in the cards. I mean, it's a two-way street.
Darius Slayton was $12 million a year to stay with the Giants. And then your second team guys, Josh Palmer, Tutu Atwell, and Diami Brown all got $10 million a year each.
Mm-hmm. The Tutu Atwell one, I don't understand at all. I mean, he's their third or fourth guy at best.
Kind of a jag.
Yeah, he's tiny.
That would be. I mean, no offense to Calvin Austin, but
similar. I'd rather have Austin.
I'd rather have Austin.
I think he's more
he
well-rounded.
returns punts and does that. Tutu Atwell doesn't do any of that stuff.
No.
And you're giving him $10 million.
Austin's more physical. He's more of a well-rounded receiver too.
Yeah.
Remember Jeremy Fowler told us he thought the fast guys would get a little more than you thought. I think that's kind of true. I mean, Diami Brown, and Slayton are downfield players.
Yeah.
And I think they're good. I'm shocked Slayton went back to the Giants. Seemed like they were getting divorced for 3 years.
Yeah, right. Had him on a trading block.
Yeah.
At tight end, Evan Ingram, $11.5 million.
I think that's kind of a steal, to be honest with you.
And Jawan Johnson, 10.3.
I don't know where the Saints get their money, but whatever, right.
At offensive tackle, you've got Dan Moore at $20.5 million.
It sounds insane, but look at the free agent offensive linemen in general there are to pick from. There's nothing out there, let alone left tackles.
A guy who is a pure left tackle.
Right.
The other guy was Alaric Jackson at $19.3 million.
See, I bet he's kicking himself. He made 19. He's doing fine. Don't get me wrong. But, you watch Dan Moore and Jalen Moore sign huge contracts, and Jackson's the better player of them, but he re-signed before free agency hit. Now, he's probably happy where he's at and didn't want to deal with the free agency nonsense,
At guard, Aaron Banks got $19.3 million.
That just screams he will not see the end of that contract.
Never.
Yeah, never. He's fine. I mean, James Daniels a better player.
Yeah. Patrick McCarry got 12.5.
He's a Jag?
I can't remember where he signed.
I think so.
But yeah, he's a Jag. You're right.
He is a Jag, but yeah, he's a multi-purpose Jag, but now I think plays for the Jags, yeah.
Yeah. At center, Drew Dahlman got $14 million.
He benefited from being the only center available too, and the Bears wanting to rebuild their entire interior line.
Ryan Kelly got $9 million.
Up in age, a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Will Fries at the other guard spots. Will Fries got 17.5. Kevin Zeitler got $9 million.
Fries is maybe the best deal of the group, and it's still an overpay. I mean, at least he's younger.
Yeah. And then
Zeitler's solid. I like what Tennessee did. I mean, those are two kind of really expensive O-line contracts, but if you're going to draft a quarterback first overall, give him some protection.
And then your other tackles were Ronnie Stanley at $20 million and Jalen Moore at $15
million. Yeah. I mean, Moore played so little. He's a third-string guy, but he's a talented upside dude. I saw today that just pure dropbacks, no play action, no nonsense. He had 90 snaps of those last year. That's what the Chiefs went off.
Yeah.
Man, you better have some inside scoop there.
The interesting thing about this, Matt, is we've talked about the fifth-year option.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the money these guys got, the tackles, your top two tackles both got 20 or more.
Got 20, yeah.
Your guards got 19.3 and 17.5.
Mm-hmm.
The top center, Dahlman, got 14.
Just back to the Linderbaum conversation.
It's the Linderbaum conversation.
Right.
Yeah, we talk about other teams in the division.
Mm-hmm.
This is what.
Like Tampa Bay's going to have to deal with this in 3 years.
Right, yeah.
With Barton. Because he's a really good player, too. You're not going to lose
You took him in the first round, and the problem for the Ravens is going to be they've got Linderbaum and Hamilton.
So Linderbaum will be 25, right?
25.
Same as if he's Penei Sewell, basically.
Yeah.
Right. That's sticky.
That's tough. You can't, and unless you can convince the player, hey, but this is the center market. This is what we want to sign you to. We want to give you $15 million a year. We want to make you
which is splendid,
the highest paid center in the league.
But Linderbaum's agent's not doing his job. If
right.
He doesn't
he's
say
this but if I do this,
point,
I
get 25 guaranteed
I get
for
25.
a year. I mean, that's at least the jumping off point. Is I want 25.
But any contract that you sign, you're going to say, yeah, but I get 25.
Right. Or I get to test the market.
This one goes to 11.
Right,
yeah.
right. I mean, your two options are either don't pick up the fifth-year option, and then I'm going to get way more than this dude on the open market, or pick up the fifth-year option, I'm getting 25 guaranteed.
Yeah.
So if we can talk Ravens, but if I'm going to sign a 2-year deal with you, I want 25 guaranteed no matter what. Whether it's over 1 year, 2 year, or whatever, 25.
Well, actually, 25 plus the
next year and the salary,
the first
too.
salary.
Right.
So you're
That's
probably
sticky.
closer to 30.
I would think. Yeah, I would think.
Guaranteed.
Give me like a 2-year, $45 million deal, but 30 of it's guaranteed. It's a lot.
It's a lot for a center.
It's a lot.
And he's in a situation where he said, I don't care if your kitchen burned, pay me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't care. You get hit by lightning? Yeah.
Pay me.
Right.
Looking at the defensive side of things, your edge rushers, Josh Sweat got $19.1 million. Khalil Mack got $18.
Was this a 1-year deal? I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
You go back. Mack's worth it.
The backups, Chase Young at $17 million, and Deo, whose name I cannot pronounce.
Goes from Colts to Bears.
Yeah, gets $16 million.
I liked what the Bears did on their interior O-line. But the D-line spending to me was
insane.
Extravagant and for normal average players or declining players.
The interior defensive lineman, Milton Williams, got $26 million.
Mm-hmm. I think he's becoming an exceptional player. He's just starting to hit his stride.
He's still a part-time player.
Well, the thing is, yeah, I know. And the Patriots, where are you going to put your money? I mean, they had too much to spend. I mean, their wallets were too full. And there weren't offensive linemen to go get. They weren't
basically
really
bid against themselves on that one. $26 million?
It's a ton.
Osa Odigizua got $20 million.
Stay with the Lions. He won't see the end of that.
Yeah. Jonathan Allen got $17 million, and Tershon Wharton got $15 million.
Allen's the one I would be interested in that number. It's a little high, but I would be interested in that number. Wharton's okay. I mean, he doesn't change the game.
Honestly, I think, perhaps the Steelers would have done something on the interior defensive or brought in a defensive lineman, but not at those prices.
I say, who are you happy with that number?
You're paying
Allen's the one to even consider
prices for a Chrysler.
No, I know.
That's not good business.
You
could have just kept Ogunjobi if you're going to do that. He was still cheaper.
Right. Yeah. The thing I don't quite understand, nor I probably ever will, is just how fast inflation comes in because the cap's growing so fast. But it doesn't matter how fast the cap goes. Every year, these type of deals are overpays.
Yeah. An inside linebacker, Zach Bond, got $17 million.
I'm fine with that, especially because like a year ago, Edmonds goes from the Bills to the Bears for like 16-ish. That position I don't think has gone through the roof.
Nick Bolton got 15.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. He's kind of a part-time player too. They got a bunch of linebackers.
Here's the thing: like, what did the Steelers get Queen for? Like
I thought 13 it was like 11 or 12. Yeah,
it was like 13 and change. I mean, that deal looks like a bargain.
Yeah, just 1 year.
Jermaine Sherwood got $15 million.
He's had one good year. It was a good year, and he's a nice player.
You can say the same thing about Bond. He's had one good year.
True. I mean, Bond was a great year, though.
Yeah.
And they won the Super Bowl,
And Robert Spillane got $11 million.
I know. It's a little crazy to me.
Robert Spillane.
Yeah. He did play better for the Raiders than the Steelers. He still is what he is.
He's still Robert Spillane.
Yeah.
He didn't get faster.
Mm-mm.
He didn't get better in coverage.
Mm-mm.
It is what it is. Okay. Cornerback. Some big money here. 4 guys getting $18 million a year. That was the going rate here for the top corners. Charvarius Ward, Byron Murphy, Paulson Adebo, Carlton Davis all got $18 million per.
I brought up Adebo a bunch in free agency thinking he'd be a tier 3 corner, not a tier 1 guy.
$18 million a year.
That's insane to me.
For a guy that gets targeted 100 times a year.
Right. We talked about like Murphy and those guys. Like, okay, if you're going to spend good money, Steelers, those are nice targets. I'm like, wow, I think you can get Adebo a heck of a lot cheaper. No. Honestly, I'm not close to the market on that.
DJ Reed, who everybody thought was going to get the most money on this, and got 16.
I don't hate that.
And Nate Hobbs, who's a slot,
got
12.
It's an awful lot for a slot, too.
Yeah.
Some of these teams have too much to spend.
The corner spending was insane.
Yeah, it was.
Why did the Steelers sign Darius Slay? Right there's why.
That's why, right. None of those are great players. They all have been useful
players. They're all good players.
Right, they're good players, right.
They're not $18 million a year.
They're a bunch of number 2
corners.
corners.
You're not paying more than Minka.
Right. There are a lot of number 2 corners.
Yeah. That's insane. It's safety. Trayvon Moehrig got $17 million.
Yeah. I like the player ascending.
$17 million.
Yeah, I know.
Javon Holland got 15.1.
See, I think that's a bargain.
That's the one that's the bargain. He's a better player.
I think he's one of the top 5 safeties in the league. I don't know what the hang up with him. Why isn't he getting Minka money?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Cam Byam got $15 million.
He's fine.
And Talanoa Hufanga got $15 million.
He's an interesting player, but he's been injured and he's a box safety. He's not.
So when people complained all last season, Minka Fitzpatrick's overpaid. Not according to this market.
No, right.
He might be a damn bargain.
Right. I forget who I was listening. Might even been Cosell. One of the guys I really trust that's an all-22 dude was talking about the safeties in the league. This was months ago. And he compared it to baseball, like a 5-tool player. And I guess whoever I was listening to is like, boy, I was talking to all these defensive back coaches, and they think there are 2 5-tool safeties in the league, Minka and Holland. There's other great ones, but guys that can do it all, can hit for power, hit for average, everything extremely well. They think there's 2 of them. At that price, I'll take Holland. But I'm telling you, folks, Minka's very, very valuable.
Very valuable.
Yeah.
So that's basically your first and second team thus far, all free agency team.
Mm-hmm.
How many games would that team win?
Oh, 6. Who's the quarterback? Darnold, I guess.
Darnold's your quarterback. You got Aaron Jones. Your skill position players are okay. You got Darnold, Jones, Chris Godwin, Devontae Adams, Darius Slayton.
The O-line stinks, though.
Evan Ingram's your tight end, but your O-line is Dan Moore, Aaron Banks, Drew Dahlman, Will Fries, and Ronnie Stanley.
It's a below-average NFL line.
Yeah. Your defense, you got Sweat and Khalil Mack as your edge.
Mm-hmm.
Milton Williams and Osa Odighizuwa as your interior guys. Zach Bond, Nick Bolton at linebacker. Ward, Murphy, and Adebo as your cornerbacks. Moehrig and Holland as your safeties.
It's a good team, but there's no stars.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good team.
Because this year's free agency.
Right.
There were no stars. There weren't star players out there.
Even if T. Higgins hit free agency and you threw him on that team, they wouldn't be way better. You know what I mean? Like, comparing them to real NFL teams, which is just kind of a fun exercise. It's an odd time of year. They don't have holes.
No, there's no holes.
Right.
It's an okay starting
lineup. It's an okay starting lineup.
It's an okay starting lineup. Yeah. Your defensive front is good, but not great.
Odighizuwa was the 15th best 3 technique.
Yeah.
None of them are stars. None of them are game changers.
Yeah. Milton Williams started 7 games.
Right, and he's like your best player.
Yeah.
Him and Holland are like your stars. Right. Those are your best guys. That's your Cam and Minka, without a Watt.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're hole fillers,
Yeah. So, while it's nice to look at this and go, hey, spend, you got to be smart about your spending.
Mm-hmm.
How many of these guys are going to be cut within
that's my next question.
3 years?
Oh, 75% or more. I would just say within 2 years. I think most of those teams get 2 years out of them, and they'll start questioning it after year one. Like,
ooh, we might have paid too much for this guy.
Yeah, like, he better really be good.
Some of them will be happy.
Some of them will be happy, but it doesn't mean they'll see the last year of the contract.
Right.
Very few do.
Because you're just going to be too expensive.
Yeah.
No matter how much the cap goes up, you can't pay average talent above average salaries.
Right. No matter what situation.
Yeah.
It's a quarterback market. Any hint whether it's here or not? What do you think Rodgers and Wilson come in at per year? I don't know if are they
30.
More than Darnold or under or ahead of Darnold, below Darnold. I think Wilson's below.
Yeah. I think your
both
numbers
over Fields.
like 35 and 30 or 25. Between 25 and 35.
I could buy that. Yeah, I think that's logical. More than Fields.
Yeah.
Both of them, I would think. Definitely Rodgers is getting more than Fields. Darnold's probably worth the most.
But there'll be deals
scary.
that you can get out of after 1 year.
After one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that adds up. I think that's probably fair. But who knows when that'll happen.
Not 40 or 45 that some people are throwing around out there.
No. It would have to be super incentive laden.
I mean, I would. Here's the thing. I would pay Aaron Donald. My offer to Aaron Rodgers right now. I'm looking at Sam Darnold's name and saying,
we could convince Donald to come back
that
too, right? He's
too.
probably floating around town.
Is slightly above what Sam Darnold got.
Yeah, and he should say yes to that.
I think he's a better player than Sam Darnold.
I think he gives a better chance to win today than Darnold does.
Yeah,
I do believe that. Yeah, less risk. I mean, I'm sure Seattle's looking at Darnold like maybe he's our long-term answer forever and ever. But that's probably.
But they only gave him a 3-year deal, so
probably a 25%.
They're not that
chance
sold on it.
And they shouldn't be. It's worth a dice roll. But man, yeah, I bet that's about what
Wilson gives him a better chance to win than Darnold.
Probably, well, certainly as the way the Steelers are constructed.
As they're constructed today, right
with
now.
Those receivers, yes, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.